morning, I'm Dalla Washington.
And I'm Rachita Jackson.
We're glad you could join us today for Global Gossip Hour on Channel 401K.
For today's Global Gossip Hour, we will be discussing various economic issues from around the world.
Coverage today will include live interviews from Brisbane, Australia, Kenya, Africa, Times Square, New York, and Kerala, India. We want to take our interviewers inside of these nations so that they can see what life is really like in diverse places. To give you the chance to see the people, experience the living conditions, and see what life is really like for the less fortunate.
First, we will be going live with Frank in Kenya, Africa. But before we take you live, we would like to let you view some of the pictures that Frank has been able to take this week.
We would like to remind you all that these pictures haven't been edited. They're all true, and they're all about people that are suffering in Africa today. Even after seeing those pictures for several times, it's still hard for me to grasp that those people are living today. While we enjoy several meals a day, they're struggling for one.
I agree. It is hard to understand just how these people survive. Just to show you a real man striving to survive, we're going live with Frank. Frank, just how is life in Africa?
Thank you, Dalla and Rachita. I'm here in Africa with my friend Kunta, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the economic situation in Kenya. Thank you, Kunta.
Hello, my name is Kunta. As you can see, I live in Kenya, Africa. We are a very poor people. We do not make money. We do not attain jobs well. And a large portion of what we do make goes to strictly, getting by. I personally was able to grow up when I was about 3. From the time I was 3 till the time I was about 6, I lived in a much better nation. I lived in Western Europe. Because of this, I learned to speak English, and when I moved down here thinking I could make it as a doctor trying to help young men, I was mistaken, and I fell on very, very hard times. Honestly, I would venture to say that Kenya is one of the poorest nations in the world today. And we'd like to thank organizations like World Vision for all their help, but it's very bad here. Times are very hard, as I said, and every penny you make counts, because some days you just don't know if you will get food. The financial world is crumbling very quickly on Kenya, and the amount of cars we have is low if you have any in our entire community, and we do what we can to get by. But we do press on, and we do what we can, and we'd like to say thank you for everyone that helps, and please continue to remember Kenya.
Thank you for that insight, Frank.
Although Africa might be one of the lowest on the economic scale, there are other countries that are suffering from today's financial crisis.
That's entirely correct. Although the poverty level in most countries isn't as low as it is in Africa, other countries are suffering in other ways. For our next interview, we're going down under. And yes, you guessed it, we're going to Australia.
To you, Mirage.
Hello, all you mates there in America. We're reporting live from Australia. The global financial crisis for the fashion industry here in Australia resulted in fewer designers and one less catwalk. Fashion designer Akira Asagawa is one of the industry's biggest names in Australia. And he says the downturn means he won't be participating in this year's event. And I quote, "We've actually got to be cautious about spend because the future is rather grey at the moment. We are actually not sure how long this crisis will actually stay," he tells Us World News Australia. It's a problem shared by fellow designers who say the downturn has affected sales and also the way they do business. "We don't go overseas to Paris, and we don't send anything to New York either because of the news of our agents. They were saying that the situation was very, very bad," said Sydney-based designer Nicola Benetti. Speaking backstage at Rosemount Australia Fashion Week, Genevieve Smart, the designer and director of fashion house Ginger and Smart, tells our news that it's the consumer who can help dictate what the industry does next. I think it's changed customers' buying patterns. They're much more discerning, they want quality, they want innovation. They want a lot of things from the garment, and when they find it, it doesn't matter about the price, she says. However, despite the crisis, A and B list celebrities and buyers are still attending the event, which is estimated to generate millions in revenue. So, despite all of these negative things we've been hearing about the financial crisis, there are those few organizations and businesses who refuse to let this worldwide situation affect them. The prestigious Animal Grange wine has been released, with Penfolds confident the price for the 2004 vintage can hold up despite the tough economic climate. Also, the economic slowdown has failed to dampen support for the annual Labor Day March in Rockhampton. So, don't spend a lot of money, but go watch the Labor Day Parade.
Thank you, Mirage.
You know, Australia is one country that I've always wanted to visit.
Me too. But over the years, another country that I found very interesting is India. Luckily, this week, one of our interviewers here at the studio got the chance to go to India and see what life is really like for Indians today.
Again, to show how life truly is in other nations, we are going live with Cash in Kerala, India. Cash?
Thank you, Rachita. My time here in India has been a tremendous learning experience, but more than that, it has taught me to cherish everything that I have. While most Americans are secure in their jobs, only 1 out of 10 Indians hold a job. The remaining 9 depend on agricultural crops for any source of income. In this past year, it has been recorded that 200 million Indians live below the poverty line. Unlike most countries, India only has 2 economic divides. These are the city and the country. Because the country community depends solely on agricultural production, many people are left suffering with no money when the inclement weather destroys crops. For those that have jobs in city areas of Kerala, the average income is about $439 a year. That is only about $1.20 a day. The largest output for the Indian nation is the diamond industry, which is quickly losing its sparkle. India produces 70% of the world's diamonds. The prices have fallen by a third since August of 2008, leaving even more men, women, and children suffering. While visiting here in India, I have made many new friends, but because the people here are very private and frown upon media news, I was unable to find an Indian willing to speak about the financial crisis. So I prepared a collage of pictures that I have taken right here and would like to show those to you.
Like Cash said, when I see others living in such extreme poverty, I'm immediately aware of all that I have and how fortunate I am to have it.
The American nation has been privileged to have the living conditions, jobs, and government that we currently have.
I couldn't agree with you more. But even being the richest nation in the world, being people of the United States, there are still some of us here that are struggling from today's financial crisis.
Many of us in the United States can already relate, but we would like to show you how deprived some in America are. We would like to take you to Times Square, New York with one of our reporters, Brooke Franklin.